Welcome to the Success Ascent. My name is Pat Mancuso. Our guest today is a very special guest. In fact, it's a guest that I'm truly honored to bring to you today. His name is Travis Mills. He's a retired Army Staff Sergeant from the 82nd Airborne who served 3 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. Travis's life changed on April 10th, 2012. He put his backpack down on the ground, and that backpack set off an IED. That caused Travis to lose both of his arms and both of his legs. Travis is one of 5 surviving quadruple amputees from the Iraq and Afghanistan war. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to talk about somebody who has the mindset of a winner, the mindset of someone who has a desire to impact other people's lives. Truly, this is one of the most amazing sessions we've done so far in the Success Ascent journey. On to the ascent. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Success Ascent. My name is Pat Mancuso, and I'm the creator and host of our Success Ascent journey. And today, I have to tell you, we have entrepreneurs on, and today we have an entrepreneur of entrepreneurs. His name is Travis Mills, and he is a retired Army Staff Sergeant of the 82nd Airborne. He's also the founder of the Travis Mills Foundation. He's an author, wrote the book As Tough as They Come. And here's the thing I really want you to hear. He's one of 5 survivors of a quadruple amputee as part of the Iraq and Afghanistan war. Ladies and gentlemen, if that isn't enough to keep your attention, I'm not sure what is. He's also a father of 2, husband, entrepreneur, motivational speaker. Now, before I have Travis start, I just want to share with you how I met Travis and how he impacted me. I was at an airport in Detroit about 6 years ago, we figured, and he's sitting and I'm standing, and I look over and he's dialing the phone with his nose. Now, I looked at that, and as you know, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a coach, I'm a consultant, I help people transform their lives and their businesses. And when I saw that, my first thought was, if that's possible, anything is possible. I was fortunate and blessed to be able to sit next to Travis on the flight from Detroit to Maine, and he truly impacted my life. So we're so excited to have Travis with us today. So Travis, welcome to our show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. And the whole dialing my nose, you know, that just comes because I really enjoy using my nose. I could probably use my prosthetic hand and a stylus, but no, that's how it works. And no, it's great to be here. And thanks so much for taking time to talk to me today.
Well, Travis, you know, first of all, I mean, we're going to talk about what happened to you, and it happened for you. I really believe that what you've done with your life and how you're impacting others, you look at it that way, because if not, I think it might be a challenge to really take on what you've taken on. So first, let's get started. So who is Travis? Tell us a little bit about Travis and his background.
Well, I'll tell you what. So I'm from Michigan originally. Grew up small town like everybody else, you know, real Friday Night Lights town kind of feel. Played a little bit of college football, nothing crazy. Small little community college in Michigan. And then I didn't like college, so I joined the military and found my calling there. Did 3 deployments with the 82nd Airborne Division. You know, on my first deployment, my medic was with me, and I knew everything about the guy. He knew everything about me. We hung out all the time. And then when he went home to watch his daughter be born on his R&R, his 18-day R&R he got in late September, his little sister thought I was cute. I didn't know anything about her. And she was 18 in college, and I was 20 in Afghanistan. And she sent me a MySpace friend request. And we started talking and decided to go on vacation together. So first time I ever met her, I flew into Dallas, Texas, and took her to Cozumel, Mexico for a week. Back to Michigan, we went for a week. I went back to Afghanistan for my last 3 months of my 15-month deployment. And then I came back and we got married. So I guess that's kind of leads you up to, you know, my early years in the military. And then I deployed again. I came back, bought a house with my wife. Then we had our daughter, Chloe. And I had orders taking me at Fort Hood, and I didn't want to go. So I decided to cancel them because my guys were going overseas. And then I deployed again in 2012. And, you know, that deployment was like any other deployment, a lot of firefights and things like that. But I unfortunately had a bad day at work that time.
So Travis, first of all, thank you so much for your service. And truly, I don't think people appreciate, not all people appreciate what military service looks like. And in your book, you tell stories. I mean, literally, those stories put me in some of those areas, some of those huts, some of those, deep ditches on top of roofs. And, April 10th for you, 2012, was a day that obviously changed your life and changed the lives of people around you. And so, normal day is what you describe in the book. And basically, you're with your guys and you're walking around, and what happened?
Yeah, I mean, we woke up like normal, had breakfast, brushed our teeth, things like that. We didn't have like a shower or a real bathroom, like we just improvised. And we got a phone call from the village elder because we gave them all cell phones to call us and need help. And they said they needed some help in the village. So we said, no problem. And we went on our patrol like normal. And we swept the ground with a minesweeper, not once, but, twice. We always did it twice. And we marked it safe and came to a short halt and took my backpack off. And I had a 120-pound backpack full of ammo and grenades and water and food. And I set it on the ground that was marked clear. And when it hit the ground, underneath it was actually a pressure plate IED, a roadside bomb. And when the pressure plate, how it works is everything's on electrical current, but once the metal to metal contact happens because of the pressure of a weight, it connects the circuit and goes off. So my backpack landed on it. It snapped off a bomb underneath me, and I got thrown on the left side of my face. And when I rolled over my back, my left eye started to swell up. But when I rolled over, I saw the aftermath of my right arm is now gone. My right leg is now gone. They never found those pieces, actually. My left leg was severed through the bone, but not all the way through the ligaments and tendons. So still kind of there. If you guys can imagine your left ankle bone on the outside of your foot touching your left eye type deal. And then my left arm was blown out at the wrist pretty bad, but I still had use of my thumb, index, and middle finger. But my pinky and ring finger were mangled up as well. So I hit the ground, roll over, saw the aftermath. And, in my head, I kept telling myself, like, don't freak out, because nothing I was going to do at that point was going to change the outcome of what happened to me. And I was telling myself, like, the same thing I always figured that a leader always does, right? You exude confidence, you lead from the front, you never show fear. And my memories that my men were going to have of me were not going to be me crying out or yelling or begging for my life, because the movie Saving Private Ryan kept going through my head when the medic gets shot in the stomach, and then he's laying on the ground and he starts to cry for his life and he wants his mom, and ultimately he does die. And I'm like, that'll never be me ever, no matter what. That'll never be how I act. And I think that might have saved my life. It stopped my heart from beating too fast.
Yep.
And anyways, my medic and my platoon sergeant, I told them to don't worry about it. They're not going to save me. I had other guys that were injured yelling for medics. So I said, go work on them. Like, it'll be over quick. That took enough combat lifesaver courses, they call them, CLS classes, to know, like, this blood's going to run out and I'm done. But they ignored that. They put tourniquets on all 4 limbs. And as they're working on me, I really didn't know what to do with myself. So I took my left hand that I still had use of, my thumb and index and middle fingers, and I radioed my LT. I had a microphone on my chest, and I hit the microphone, and I called my LT. I said, hey, 6, this is 4. I got guys injured. I need your medic with mine. And I hit a bomb. And they came over, and Doc Voice worked on Ryan and Brandon. And then he came and worked on me. And when he got there, like, they had to put a sternum IV in me. They had to they gave me a fentanyl lollipop, which I'm not big on suckers. So, like, I chewed it up. Apparently you're not supposed to do that. And I was like, hey, that was not so bad. Can I get another one? They're like, where'd it go? I'm like, what are you talking about? And they yelled at me for chewing it up. I was like, well, I don't like suckers. I usually just bite them, and eat them. But within 10 minutes of that, they got me in a helicopter. And on the helicopter ride, I was strapped to a stretcher. And one of my guys was yelling out in pain, which he had every right to. He was just blown up with me. And they have this protective goop they put in your eyes to help you from the prop wash and all this stuff. So it looked like beer goggles, to the best of my recollection. And I was yelling at the guy who's gonna be okay, and I was yelling at the medic, and I was finally the third yell at the medic. I said, take your helmet off. And of course I said other choice words than that, but I got my left arm free and I swung it over my head and I motioned for him to take his helmet off. And I told him to give my guys water and tell them they're gonna be okay, right? Because it's always mission first. And they gave my guys water. They told me they're gonna take care of them. I said, all right, thanks. And it's kind of cool because they wrote my wife an email or a letter, and it's in the book that they sent to my wife. You know, a sergeant for staff sergeant and a sergeant first class wrote this awesome letter. So that was cool. But then they got me to helicopter. They got me from the helicopter to the hospital in Kandahar, and they rushed me into surgery. And as they rushed me down the hallway, I kept trying to sit up, and the nurse kept pushing me down. I said, "Stop touching me! Like, I'm fine. Leave me alone." And I was like, I just got my legs back underneath me and get back to my guys. And finally they were like, "I don't know how you're still awake right now, but you need to go to sleep." And then they pushed fluids through me and knocked me out. The last thing I said to that nurse was like, "My little girl, I'm never going to see her again." Well, then I faded out, under medical sedation. And from what I'm told, 9 doctors and 7 nurses actually worked on me for 14 hours straight, when 2 nurses took turns pumping air into my body, like my lungs, keep me alive. And I was given over 400 units of blood, which is actually the most blood ever given in Afghanistan, which is impressive. And I don't know if I still hold the record
to have, by the way, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I hope I still hold it. And it's primarily because I hope no one got hurt as bad as me. But a little part of me is like, because I want that record. I'm a winner at heart. And
ladies and gentlemen, if you get a chance to read his book, this is Travis. I mean, there's nothing unreal. This is the real Travis. When you read the book, there's some great parts in there.
Yeah, and then I appreciate that. But they worked on me and they got me stable but critical. And while that all happened, my brother-in-law, who I married his sister, my medic, he wasn't with me on that deployment. He was over in Afghanistan, but not with me. Now he flew in because before you deploy, you got to fill out a thing called a blue book, and it's pretty morbid actually. Like you can be 17 deploying to Afghanistan or Iraq or wherever, and you got to fill out your funeral basically. Like I'm going to be buried with this. I want to have this music played. I want to have a military civilian funeral. But like the last question is, who escorts your body home if you're hit and you die? And mine was obviously Josh. So they called Josh thinking he might live, he might die. They don't know. And they had Josh fly in, and Josh did. And 2 days after that, they flew me to Bagram, and I was a triple amputee at the time, and then took me in for a washout on April 12th, and they realized my skin on my left hand had died. So they had cut it off. So they cut my left hand off, and I was still medically sedated this whole time. Then they flew me to Landstuhl, Germany on 14th of April, and they woke me up for the first time as a quadruple amputee. And when I came to, my brother-in-law was in the room, and I looked at Josh, and I said, "My soldiers, how are my soldiers?" And he told me, Ryan and Brandon, their situation. And then I said, "Am I paralyzed?" And he said, "No." And I said, "No, you don't got to lie to me, man. You can tell me the truth, bro." He's like, "Yeah, you're not paralyzed, but you don't have them anymore." Because I told him I can't put my fingers and toes. And I just said, "Oh." And then for like 3 hours, I ignored everybody, right? The doctors and nurses, they all had questions. Josh had questions. And I kept looking off in the distance and not talking to him because I got my own questions, right? Like, am I a bad person? Does God hate me? What did I do wrong in life? How can I be a husband and a father? Yeah, I think the biggest question, and I can admit it now, was a real Forrest Gump, Lieutenant Dan moment. Like, why didn't I just die? Like, how is this going to be better? And then finally, after that 3 hours or whatever, Josh chimes in and is like, "Hey, you got to call your wife and your parents." And I said, "Fine." So I called my wife, and when she answered, the only thing I really said was, "Hey, what's up? I'm fine. Love you. Bye." Like, I didn't want to have a conversation about what was going on. And then I called my parents and I talked to them. And before I hung the phone up, my mom yelled, "Happy birthday," because it was my 25th birthday, the 14th of April, when I woke up. And fun fact, the Titanic sank the 14th and Lincoln was shot the 14th. So kind of blame my mom for being doomed my whole life. No, I'm kidding. But, so yeah, I mean, I made it back to the States on the 17th to Walter Reed. I saw my wife for the first time, and she had to sign a clipboard to cut 2 inches off my right leg because my sutures were ripped open and I was bleeding out, and they cut 2 inches off my right leg. Wow. And it's gotta be crazy, right? I mean, you got my wife who's 21, 23, with our 6-month-old daughter running up to say hi to me and see me. And all of a sudden the doctor's like, "Hey, sign this. You're his medical care provider, so we need you to sign this." So she signed it. And then the next day on the 18th, she came in the room and I told her she probably should take what we had, the house, cars, money, whatever. And financially I'd do whatever I could for her, but that's not the life I would choose for her. And she was like, "That's not how this works. I've been looking at the situation that you're facing, and I really want the handicap parking, so I'm going to stick around." So no, she's like, "That's how this works. We'll get through this together," which is incredible, right? I mean, a lot of kudos to my wife, Kelsey. Yeah. And then I kind of started my recovery at Walter Reed. You know, I mean, it was a 19-month struggle, but I'm sure you have more questions, and I've been rambling. And I hope I didn't get too in depth and step on your toes here. I apologize.
No, Travis. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, people have challenges in their life. We all do. And yet, you had the ultimate challenge. And you first had to decide you wanted to live. Then you had to go through that process. And what I loved in the book that you talked about, which is why I so love studying leadership and from military background, is you were more worried about your people, about your guys, not even caring about what was happening to you. And I think that story gives such a foundation to who you are. And I think that gives the foundation to where you are today. I mean, when I read the story, I felt like I knew your parents. I love the story about how, you met Kelsey and, Josh wasn't too cool with that, her brother, and
Yeah.
that, you were serving with him. And so, no, I'm so glad that you shared that, because I think it also, again, I'm one of these type of people that I don't think people truly understand what it means to serve our country and how that gives us our freedom. And so I'm glad that you shared that. I truly am. And I love it, because it's like everything in the book. So when I met you, one of the things that you were doing was you were in motion of what does the next chapter of Travis look like, right? What are you going to do now? And that I just so loved in that plane ride. It was like I could see this. You were lit up about what you were doing. And so talk to me, talk to me about, okay, so now this happens. Now you're back. You're beginning to start, your life over again, so to speak, with Kelsey and Chloe. And so what did you start thinking about? Like, you're going to become an entrepreneur. You got to do something, right? Like, what went through your mind in that process?
Well, I mean, life's all about peaks and valleys, right? Highs and lows, if you will. Because for me, like in high school, I was basically every movie that you see a high school football team in or whatever, like I was a standout athlete, right? I was a standout athlete in football, baseball, and basketball. And then you go to college and you're not that standout no more. You got to build yourself up. And I didn't want to go to college. So I went to the military. And I went to the military and start from the bottom. Then I become, a specialist team leader, then a sergeant, and then a staff sergeant. I'm in all these roles and getting really good remarks and reviews and fast tracking the military. Like I'm at a high. And then I get blown up and lose everything. And because I got to meet the second ever quadruple amputee 4 weeks into my recovery, he came in my room and was like, "Hey man, you're going to be fine. I flew from Missouri to let you know you're going to walk, drive, feed yourself." I mean, I got to the point where I was so weak, I couldn't roll right or left or sit up by myself. I lost 110 pounds in those 7 days. And he really helped open my eyes to like, look, I'm not a bad person. I can do this. I will have a prosthetic hand. I will have prosthetic legs. I will walk, drive, feed myself, and I'll live an independent life to the best of my ability. Now, I don't think Todd, when he came to visit me, knew exactly what hope he was giving me,
right,
and what motivation he was giving me. But my wife and my daughter by my side, and Todd pushed me to want to be better and do better. And then it was all about how can I work out to achieve this goal. And at the hospital, I was somebody, right? Like I was Staff Sergeant Mills, quadruple amputee, but they were asking me to go talk to everybody. Like I would go on my own and talk to people in their rooms. Then it got out that I was going to say hi and give them that same hope that I met everybody that came in the hospital for the year and a half I was there. Like the first person they met was me saying, "Hey, you're going to be fine. You're not a bad person. God doesn't hate you and you're the best place for you. So keep your head up." And then I transitioned out of the military and it was like a huge low. I was like, man, who am I now? Like, I'm not Staff Sergeant Travis Mills, combat, leader. I'm not Staff Sergeant Travis Mills, motivational amputee in the Military Advanced Training Center at Walter Reed, giving people hope and, direction and purpose. Now I have to be somebody. And then I started speaking, right? My first thing was for Lockheed Martin. They got me at a science convention. And I never did it before, but I went and did it, had a great time, felt that rush of excitement and, adrenaline. And then, so people found out about me going talking to them. They went to a documentary on me, and then we decided to do a book. And then that's where we met when the book was coming out. And my wife and I at the hospital decided to give back. During my recovery, we wanted to do something to serve veterans and their families, because I went on these trips and learned how to go downhill mountain biking and snowboarding and monoskiing, all these things that I never think I could still do, but I can do with my family still. And it was like so uplifting and just, great for me and my confidence, but also knowing I could do something active with my family. So we started the Travis Mills Foundation. 501c3 status. We did care packages for the first year. Like that was all we were going to do. $5,000 from Kelsey and I donated. And then I went on these trips and I realized that I was the only one of the very few. There's a few other triples and quads and stuff like that. They got to take what's called a non-medical assistant, which is what your wife or your spouse would fall underneath. Cause I need help put my legs on, my arm on, getting dressed and stuff for the most part, and I got to take my wife with me, but I was experiencing all these highs and all this, independence and all the great feelings with my wife. And I thought, man, if it's not for my family, why am I even, what's it for? So we decided to bring some families out to Maine and do like a trial run of like a family style retreat. And boy, when it started, it was my wife's family and my family, my dad and stuff coming to help out, and my mom and whatnot, and very mom and pop small. And now over, the years, we've grown to one of the top 25 veteran service organizations in the nation, or a multi-million-dollar, function. And we bring in families that have been through combat or service-connected injuries from, being motorcycle accidents on up to blown up like me and shot. And we show them how to do things adaptively. And it's my way of serving and giving back. I never take a dime from the foundation. My wife and I made that pledge and promise. We built this whole retreat that we had to we had to rehab it. It was like Elizabeth Arden's old estate in 1929. She's a cosmetic pioneer, about $2.5 million. But now we've helped so many families, 8 families per week. And they come up and they realize they can do things, not live life on the sidelines,
right.
And be active in the society and the family. Now, on top of that, right, I have that going. I actually am a part owner of an insurance company for like small, short-term and long-term disability and cancer plans and things like that. Because the company I was speaking for one time, they were like, hey, you could be a walking billboard for us. And I'm like, what do you mean? They said, well, our slogan is to help protect you from life's unexpected events. And I'm like, oh, I get that. And my friend Ray Valley and Brian, my friends own it. So I'm a owner of CBU Benefits. I have some rental properties. I drank whiskey one night. My buddy and I drank whiskey because this guy said, hey, you should buy my marina. When I got gas in my boat. And I said, why would I buy your marina? And he said, well, come look at the P&Ls. No idea what that meant. But my buddy, Zach Stewart, he did. So we went and looked at the P&Ls and they looked pretty good. So our wives both said, don't you guys buy that? And we drank whiskey one night and we bought it. So it's a 38 unit like lodge and cabins and cottages. And it was, when we bought it, it was only 32. And then there was only 70 boat slips. But now we have 180 boat slips, 38 units, put a cafe in. It's just this year is about double the revenue that's ever, like, from when we bought it till now. And it's,
wow, good for you.
We're going to open a whiskey tavern as well, I think, by next summer. We have another property we're buying. So, and then my speaking, right? My speaking is my bread and butter, if you will. So, it's just, it's how you look at your situation, but it's also like, what do you want to do in life? And my mother-in-law, she gets a little bit upset with me because she's like, when's it enough? Because I don't really like to relax. And she's like, when's it enough? And I'm like, it probably never is enough, Tam. Life's a big game of chess. And I love chess. Like, it's my favorite thing to do. My father-in-law, Craig, and I, who was helping me set up earlier, I travel with him.
Yeah.
We're best friends. Me and him play chess constantly, but life's a big game of chess and strategy. Yeah. And it's not about how much money I can make. I mean, I don't measure my success by how much money I have in the bank.
Right.
But it's how much, like, people can really thrive off what I have to say at my speaking, how much, families get food on the table because they work for my foundation or my marina or my insurance company. And, I'm not out there just being greedy, but I'm out there like knowing like, hey, there's a lot of cool things I can do. And I've almost had my life taken once. So why not just step up to the plate and try to go for it? Now, I've jumped a lot of places as I've been rambling. So I'm gonna let you bring us back in. This is your show. I apologize.
Well, no, gosh, here's the thing. It's not my show. It's about folks that come to my show like you who share their stories. And as I was listening to you talk about that and how you're always moving, I go back to the book. That's exactly what you were doing when you were serving. There was never, when you're serving, you're really not down. There's really not a lot of downtime. You're always on the move. You're always doing, whether it's looking out or working out or activities. So let me go back, and I want to share something so for all the listeners that are listening and watching, you were walking 7 weeks after your experience, according to what I read in the book, correct?
Yeah. Actually, I was short legs though. It's not like the legs I wear now, but yeah.
Right. And you
Yeah.
were 6 months after your event, you were doing 5Ks.
I did one 5K.
Well, okay. Well, maybe I added the Ks. Here's the point. Travis. What mindset? What led you? I mean, that's just amazing. I read that and I go, there's people who haven't done a 5K in their entire life and have all the things that they would need to do it. What was the mindset that got you through? Like, what was the biggest thing in your mindset?
People wonder, like, what's a feature that I think is, like, what's my best feature, right? Obviously, my smile.
Your looks.
Course.
I knew that was coming. Yep, your looks.
And my butt. My butt's pretty. No, I'm kidding. I got a dent in it actually from the explosion, but let's not get in the weeds here. No, I tell them, I said the biggest thing about me is I'm stubborn, and good, bad, or indifferent. I'm gonna put my mind to something and do what I want. And that's good and bad, right? Like, I should be a little bit lighter than I am right now, but I don't say no to Philly cheesesteaks. I have the option to say no, but boy, do I love them.
Yeah.
And I'm on my diet right now. Thanks for noticing. I appreciate it. But being stubborn has got me where I am today. People telling me, like, that's not going to work, or you can't do that.
Yeah.
For that 5K, people were like, hey, you probably can't. Like, you just got your legs, like your official big legs, like a week ago. You probably can't do it. And I was like, let's get after it. And, understanding that, right. Okay. So I was a little bit upset. I got my smoker out last night, and we smoked 2 chickens, and my track chair, it's like a little chair that has like tank tracks on it, kind of go anywhere in the yard, was out. And then it was a clear night, and then it rained today. And I'm like, oh great, my smoker and my track chair are covered in water. And I'm like, but that's my fault. Like, I'm sitting there first upset, like, why didn't that get put away? And I was like, oh yeah, duh, because I didn't go out there and put it away, because I can put it away. It's just about doing it. And I guess just being stubborn is what's got me where I am. I mean, when people tell me it's probably not going to work, they told me I'd be at Walter Reed probably 3 years. I was like, nah. I was there 19 months. Yeah. I think 6 months is paperwork, but government. But yeah, I guess that's the one thing that people need to take away. Like, I am positive. My slogan is never give up, never quit. I have learned some life lessons. Like, what I tell my audiences whenever I speak, number one, don't dwell on the past. I mean, I used to sit in my hospital bed and I'd hope and wish and pray this never happened. Close my eyes real hard and try to concentrate on how to go back in time. And every time I opened my eyes, I didn't do anything except for sit with my eyes closed. And I realized, instead of dwelling on what happened, just reminisce. I had 25 amazing years, and I've had 8 incredible years since the injury. Just one day that was unfortunate, and I've learned from it, and I've adapted and I've overcome. And then also I tell people, you can't always control your situation, but you can control your attitude. And for me, my situation of no arms and legs doesn't change. I mean, I go to bed at night with no arms and legs on. Wake up in the morning, I jump in my wheelchair right from my bed. I throw my arm on, because usually it goes on a charger. And then I go and I make coffee, and I get my wife's coffee ready, and my daughter and my son come down, my wife comes down, and we go about our day. But just because I have the no arms and legs thing go, it doesn't mean it dictates how my day is going to go. And I tell you, once I get my legs on, I'm pretty good. Like, I still have help get my legs on. Usually it's like the worst 3 minutes of my day. Not in a bad way. Everybody's nice when they help me, but like, it's still like I have to have that help. Yeah. But I drive, I go anywhere I want to go, do whatever I want to do. And I like to change the narrative, right? I like people to see me not as, oh, that's the guy with no arms and legs. No, like, that's that guy that has that foundation that does so well. That's that guy that owns that business that gives back to the community. That's, Travis Mills, That's not, like, I've changed, hopefully, the perspective of, like, oh, that's that wounded guy. To now, like, oh my gosh, that's Travis Mills. He does X, Y, and Z, because once I take away the injury from people when they're talking to me, then it gets to the conversation of like, hey, how are you doing? And you can get past the injury. And I mean, I use jokes and humor to get there for the most part, but I love the fact that I'm a steward of my community, that people look at me and respect me, not because of my injuries, but how my attitude is, because I bounce back, plus the things I'm able to do in the community. Does that make sense?
Oh, no, it's perfect. And in my guess, Travis, well, it makes perfect sense. And my guess is that humor and that self-deprecation you've probably always had. It's who you are, right? Yeah. And the second thing that I think is really important is you've got the right mindset. No matter if this would have happened or not, you would have come back and done great things. It just would have been a different vehicle to do it. See, you've got the mindset that entrepreneurs and highly successful people have, and it's the ability to come in contact with obstacles and get through those obstacles. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show, because I think you can inspire people, and they see you on a Zoom call like this. They don't know that you don't have any arms or any legs, and yet your speaking is inspirational and motivational, and all the things that you've accomplished and the things that I didn't even know about that you've accomplished. What just what an acknowledgement to who you are. So let's do this. Any books that you're reading? I always like to ask my listeners, any book that you're reading right now besides your own that's impacting you?
I'm not very good at reading books, but I will listen to them on audio.
Okay.
I became pretty good friends with Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. So Extreme Ownership. If you guys want to figure out the real secret to how you end a dispute with your wife or your significant other, read that book, because no matter what you did wrong, if you say you're right, I messed up, and here's how I'm going to fix it, or you just it's like you just poked them in the nose and they just got like deer in headlights. So, and then they have a new one I haven't got the chance to open up yet, Dichotomy of Leadership. I think I got it up. It's upstairs somewhere. I don't have it with me. And then my friends just wrote a book. They sent it to me in the mail. I haven't got the chance to crack it open, but oddly enough, it's on my nightstand down here in my man cave. It's Beautifully Broken by Josh and Paige Wetzel. You can see he's missing both his legs.
Yes.
And they're the military and family #1 book on Amazon right now. And there's a guy that wrote the foreword that's pretty decent.
I saw that in the corner. That was Travis Mills, I think.
Yeah. And that's what that happened. But yeah, that's what I'm reading. Sorry.
So no, you're good. So Travis, before we get to, I want to ask you the one last thought you'd leave all of our listeners with. If somebody wanted to make a donation to your foundation, and you talked about it, it really is a great story. It used to be the Elizabeth Arden Estate, and it's a place where people. I remember you telling me this on the plane, that your vision was this was a place where people who were injured could come and feel like they weren't injured, so to speak, that they could live their life to their fullest. How would they make a donation if they chose to do that? Where'd be the best place to do that?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. So the TravisMillsFoundation.org website is the best place for that. We have people that make, private donations. We have companies that will donate for a full week for a family, or a full week of families, depending on how big they want to do. It's all 501c3, tax write-offs and things like that.
Sure.
But no, and I appreciate the plug. But, it's pretty awesome. And we had 89 families the first year come up, 135 the second year, over 200 families last year.
Wow.
And this year it's supposed to be 300, but COVID, we had to slow it down just a little bit. But we're still doing caregiver stuff. We have a post-traumatic growth program for people that suffer from PTSD, which is just exciting because I never had a right answer for that.
Right.
When they asked if we do anything for post-traumatic stress, because we didn't. We just always had hey, here's a contact that's the best around. And now we became a partner of the Boulder Crest Foundation's Warrior Path program. And, I just want people to always know that they're included, and how we're able to measure success, not only how the families come out and have a great time, but to hear their stories of, this is the first time I've been able to go to a place that is truly barrier free, where my wheelchair, my walker, my prosthetics, my canes, whatever, is not going to hold me back from getting anywhere. I definitely cheated. I stole a physical therapist from Walter Reed that I truly am close with. And I stole her to move to Maine to be a program director. So let me tell you something. On all the activities that we do, and we are going to continue to grow upon, she makes sure no matter who it is can do it. So we had a guy come up, lost both legs, both hands were burned up pretty bad, had very limited movement. And we did archery. He's like, I can't do that. Well, she set him up with another nonprofit that donates her time to set up archery stuff. Got him shooting within 2-3 hours. The only thing he wanted to do. I think he's shooting for, trying to do the Paralympian archery now on something he thought he couldn't do. We have spouses say they haven't seen their service member, act like this since before the deployment, be the normal person they used to be. And we have kids that cry saying it's better than Disney World. They don't want to leave. Now, I'm not a fan of making kids cry, but when it's that compliment, I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so TravisMills.org. That's my website, or TravisMillsFoundation.org. We'll get you to the foundation's page, and anybody can donate, sign up to volunteer. We have over 1,000 people signed up to volunteer and counting, and I'm very grateful for everyone's support.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. So Travis, what final thought would you leave before we go?
Well, I screwed up. I already told you my life lessons about the dwelling and reminiscing, and attitude compared to, situation. But, I mean, I think people can look at me and say, man, that guy's motivating. What's his secret? And I don't know what my secret is. I'm stubborn to a fault. My wife stayed with me when I told her she should leave me. My kids will see me struggle, but they'll never see me like quit. And I live my slogan of never give up, never quit. And I'm so grateful to live in a nation that takes care of me and gives me the opportunity and the ability, to have 3 meetings this morning, come on this Zoom call, head out to my foundation for a picture, and drive myself out there, but, and do things. So, I guess the best thing I can tell you is, and I'm excited because I think when I start my podcast up again and shape it around the commercial, it's like there's 330 million American dreams. What's yours? And I found that, I found that I don't need to be a billionaire to be happy, but I just want to live out whatever my American dream is. And as much as my mother-in-law and people make fun of me because I really have no hobbies. Like I enjoy chess and I enjoy work, and my mind races about work. I love the thrill of it, but if you find out what your American dream is and what you want your life to be, I mean, you've really hit what success is. And I hope everybody can find that. Yeah. And I'm not saying quit your job and throw your life in ruin. I'm just saying, if you like to fish, go ahead and go fishing. Me, on the other hand, I don't like fishing at all. I'd rather be finding ways to be more successful and be able to lead more people to success than anything. So maybe I'm a weirdo, but I appreciate you having me. And thanks for
the weirdo question we'll leave open for right now. So I do have a question. Who usually wins in chess?
It's about a 50-50 split.
Okay.
We play. I was up 50 games for last year's ending. He was up 8 games the year before that. We play about 2,000, probably 2,000 games a year.
I love it.
It's crazy.
Well, you know what? So we're going to put a ribbon on this. So first of all, Travis, thank you so much for your time. If you've not yet subscribed, please go to your favorite podcast source and subscribe to The Success Ascent, or simply go to www.thesuccessascent, and that's ASCENT.com, thesuccessascent.com. Thanks so much for joining us today. We look forward to catching you on the next ascent.